Hey everyone, it's Hazel West, and I'm here with my July reading wrap up. So in July, I read 8 books. It wasn't as good as I wanted to do, but I just was working on a ton of other projects, so I didn't get around to reading a lot. But I did read quite a few good books, so I wasn't really disappointed. Jumping right into it, the first book I picked up that month was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. Francesca, I don't really know how she pronounces her name. This is another contemporary novel that came out this year, um, and it has kind of been under the radar, probably because it's actually a good one. Essentially, it's about a high school girl who is the creator and writer of this online webcomic that is like really, really popular. Like a lot of people love it. Um, and but no one knows that she writes it because it's under a pen name. So, anyway, she ends up meeting this boy who is a new student in school, and he's like a really huge fan of it. But she doesn't tell him that she's the creator because she thinks that that would kind of ruin the friendship that they've started to have. Because in real life, she's kind of like an outcast and she doesn't really have friends. She's very introverted and she deals with like social anxiety problems and all that. So, she doesn't really have a lot of friends. She doesn't really do anything with people. But, then when, what's his name? Wallace comes along. He actually, ends up talking to her. But anyway, I thought this was a really cute book. It's, I, like, as a creator, a writer, I could really understand like some of Eliza's problems. And I'm an introvert, but mainly I'm just antisocial. I don't necessarily have social anxiety. I just dislike people in general, being around them a lot. Um, but I do know people who do suffer from like a really pretty bad social anxiety, and I think that it was portrayed really well in this story because it wasn't. I mean, there were obviously the people who thought of it as a stigma, but I really liked how Eliza kind of came to terms with like the fact that this is the way she is, and that she is willing to go and be around people. It's just not like totally extroverted, which is perfectly okay. And I liked the fact that the author portrayed that as an okay thing, and that like you're a freak, because obviously that's what most people think of you as. But besides that, I just really loved Eliza and Wallace's relationship. I thought it was really adorable, and like especially the way like they talk to each other when they first meet, because Wallace has really bad social anxiety as well. Of course, his kind of stems from trauma, as you find out. Um, but he he writes to her, like he doesn't talk to her in person. So it was kind of interesting. It was really cute, and I thought their relationship was really sweet. But anyway, like overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I thought it was a really good story, just really character driven. I liked the characters, and I think it's a really good book for people who do have social anxiety to read, because it shows characters overcoming it. Kind of like they always keep fighting. Tagline, just you keep pushing through, and it does get better. Um, so I really liked that. It was a really nice heart lifting story. So I appreciated that about it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I think this author has written something else. Um, so I'm interested to see her other books, because I really like the way she writes contemporary. It's actually engaging, and I'm honestly surprised at the amount of contemporary novels that have been really good this year. After that, I picked up Anna and the Swallow Man by Gavril Savit, I think. Uh, I don't. It's kind of hard to read it in this script. But anyway, this is a World War II story. It is about a Polish girl whose father was taken away in, like, in that, like, when the, after the Germans invaded Poland, they took a lot of, like, professors and people away, of the Polish people because, to, like, um, just kind of take over, and they sent, this was like when they were started sending a bunch of the Polish people to concentration camps and everything, which was the basis of Ruta Sepetty's book, Between Shades of Grey, um, which this one kind of reminded me of, but it was not good. I did not end up liking this one. Essentially, it's about a girl named Anna, and she meets, after her father is taken away. No one wants to take her in because they're afraid, because she's a Polish girl, that they're gonna get, in trouble with the Nazis for keeping her. So this stranger comes along and finds her, and she kind of like attaches herself to him, and so he kind of ends up taking her in. And I mean, for the most part, um, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad story. I did enjoy the father daughter relationship between Anna and the Swallow Man, whose name you never really know. Um, and but there was just like, there was just did not seem to be any point to this story at all. Like, it was one of those like literary stories that's just the pretty writing and everything, and the writing was really pretty, just kind of overcomes the story itself, and there's no real storyline to it. So, I mean, and I did not see the point of the ending. Like, I just didn't get it. Like, it's one of those stupid literary endings that everyone says, oh, they're so great, blah, blah, blah. Like the kind of movies that win Emmy Awards or Oscars, but they're not really good. That's, like, what this kind of book is. So, it was just, ugh, I don't know. I even ended up giving it, like, 2 out of 5 stars because the time period and everything was portrayed well. Um, I did like the characters, but the way it just devolved, like, toward, like, the last third was just really tedious. Like, I didn't like it at all. Thankfully, it's only really short, but yeah, probably not gonna pick up any more from that author. So, while I was reading those, I was also reading some of the season 3 Supernatural official companion by Nicholas Knight. I read the first two for the first two seasons last month, and I just really enjoy picking these up between reads or before bed when I don't just want something quick to read. Like, I'll read a few sections, and I just really love them. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars again. I really recommend picking these up if you love the series, because it's just really fun to see, like, all the behind the scenes stuff. Um, and for each episode, and like some of the creators, like what they have to say about it, and it's really fun because it's kind of a look into the mind um, of the writers and the creators and the directors and stuff. Because I mean, we get a lot, like, you can watch all the convention panels and see like all the stuff from the actors, but this is actually more like behind the scenes kind of stuff. So it's really fun, and I always enjoy picking those up. After that, I picked up the book Literally by Lucy Keating. This was one that was recommended to me by my friend Mara, who read it, and she said it was pretty funny. It's another contemporary, but it's really weird because essentially it's about a girl who discovers that she is actually a character in someone else's book. And so it's like super meta. Lucy Keating put herself into the book. It was just really funny. Like, as definitely as a writer, I appreciated this. It was so funny because, like, the characters start rebelling because she's writing them to be like these perfect people, and they're just not actually that like that, and they don't want to be like that. And the what's his her name? Annabelle. She thinks that she may be in love with someone else, but she keeps getting thrown together with this one guy, um, and and he seems perfect, um, but it was just really funny to read, and I really appreciated like all like if you're not a writer, you're probably not gonna appreciate this book nearly as much, but I think any writer should read this one, just because it's so funny and there's so many truths to it. Like it's just I really enjoyed it, and I think it was just a really interesting book. I mean, overall, like without that, it's honestly kind of just a boring contemporary romance. Which I mean, it's like it's I don't even think it's 300 pages, so it's not gonna take you that long to get through. It's just a really good summer read. But yeah, I enjoyed the characters enough. I mean, I really read it for the gimmick, and so ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a fun read. There could have been more to it, but at the same time, I was kind of happy with how it was, because I think if there was a lot more to it, I probably would have gotten more annoyed with like the love triangle situation, even though it was kind of put in there ironically. But anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. After that, I picked up this Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is the sequel and the final book in the Monsters of Verity duology. At least I'm pretty sure it's the final book. I kind of hope it is, because I don't really want to see where the story goes from here, to be honest. This was my buddy read with Mara at the Reading Hedgehog this week, or this month. And honestly, I was not overly impressed with this book. I mean, I really liked certain factors of it, but it's probably my least favorite Victoria Schwab book, which is saying something, because I have, I mean, even if I don't like certain aspects of her books, I always just love her books, but this one just seemed like it was a really rushed job. Like, she didn't really know where she was going from the beginning, and it just kind of fell flat. Like, I think, like, this thing is like a brick, and while, like, this Savage Song was really good, it was fast-paced, it had great characterization, I loved it. It was one of my favorite books last year. This one just kind of takes all that and makes it like, and just drags it out and makes it so slow. Like, I think this book probably could have been like, it could have cut out like at least a fourth of this book. Because essentially, like, I mean, nothing really, or even a third of it, to be honest, because nothing really happens until like the last fourth of this book. The last quarter is like when anything happens. But I mean, I didn't end up disliking Kate and August in this story, but I think they could have been portrayed better. Like, most of this was just Kate dealing with like various inner demons, and August dealing with various inner demons, but yet you never really get a lot of, I don't know, like, it's almost like we're told that they're dealing with this stuff, but we never actually see it. And I think that was what this book suffered from a lot, is that Victoria Schwab was mainly telling her plot points instead of showing us. And I think that was why it ended up being longer and kind of tedious in places. Plus, she introduced essentially like a whole cast of characters in the beginning that she never brought back or really had anything to do with, even though she spent the time setting up their characters and everything, but they never had anything to do with it. So, I don't know. I mean, honestly, some of the most interesting parts in this book were between Sloane and the other Malachi, Alice. Like, at least they had character. And I mean, I like August, I really do, but he just seemed like such a flat character, and I don't think that was because he was kind of going dark more often. I don't think it had to do with that. I think it was just the writing in this book. Because I kind of felt the same way about Kate, too. So anyway, I was kind of disappointed with this. There were other things I didn't like about it. I kind of want to write a review about this one, but I don't know when I'll get it up. I mean, overall, I did like the way it ended. I think it ended the way it had to end. So, But at the same time, I don't know. Like, I was just kind of disappointed with it. I guess she can only do one finale really good a year, and that was the one for the Darker Shades trilogy, because that one ended up really good. Um, but yeah, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but I think it's really more like 3.5, because it's definitely my least favorite Victoria Schwab book I've ever read, which is pretty sad. After that, I picked up Full Tilt by Neal Shusterman. This was recommended to me by someone on Goodreads, and this was really interesting. This is only the second Neal Shusterman book I've read, but his books are always so weird and, but very creative. Like, this one was, it is based around a traveling carnival, but it's like a phantom carnival. And it's like, run by this one. I don't really even know what to call her. I guess she's kind of trickster. She's like chaos personified or something. Um, but so essentially, she sets her sights on the main character, Blake. Um, and Blake has a younger brother named Quinn. And Quinn is like the daredevil. Blake is kind of the more responsible one. So when the girl, Cassandra, gives Blake the ticket to this Phantom Circus, Quinn's the one who takes it, and so Blake has to go and rescue Quinn because, or he doesn't really know what the place is like at first, but once you get in, you can't get out until you ride a certain number of rides, and even then, it's like if you survive them. So it was really kind of an interesting concept. I did enjoy it. It was kind of a fun, fast-paced suspense read, typical to Neal Shusterman, at least to the ones I've read, with lots of weird stuff, but weird stuff that's okay. Like, that's just kind of like normal for his sort of books, and it was a good brother story. I did enjoy it because of that. It was kind of funny because it genuinely felt like something that would happen in like an episode of Supernatural. Um, but so one of my favorite parts in this was it was just really funny, like because there was like a minefield in one of the rides that was made out of Ford Pintos because they explode, and I thought that was hilarious because that was kind of a running joke in a story that I was writing. Um, because my character has a Pinto and he calls it Dante's Inferno. But anyway, that was just kind of, I thought that was funny because I like it when other people make the same jokes I do. Anyway, but so overall it was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a good suspense. It was a good brother story, and yeah, it was an interesting concept as well that I don't think I've read before. So that's always a plus. After that, I picked up one of my own books, An Earthly King, the second book in the Modern Tales of Defina, because I did a read along for this one this month with people on Goodreads. Last month we did the first book, Blood Ties, and this month we did An Earthly King because book 3 is going to be coming out in August. And actually, I'm going to be having a cover reveal for it on August 19th, I think. It's going to be not 19th. I don't remember. It's going to be next Monday. So it's not this Monday, not the 14th, but the Monday after that. So yes, the 21st, not the 19th. I'm thinking of my own deadlines here. So if you want to stop by the blog on Monday the 21st and see the cover reveal for book 3, it will be up then, and so that will be cool. But yeah, it was really fun to get to read the books with other people, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Obviously, I can't like rate my own books. Finally, I finished the season 4 Supernatural Companion, also by Nicholas Knight. Just kind of reading this one throughout the month as well. Obviously, still love it. 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that was the last book I ended up finishing that month. And that is all. So I hope you guys had a good reading month, and I'll see you again in August.